He painted his plane red and turned fear into legend. In the chaos of World War I, one man ruled the skies with unmatched precision. Every enemy who saw the crimson wings knew death was near. This is the story of Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, master of the air. Red Baron versus Allied aces. Manfred von Richthofen's legacy. In the blood-red skies of World War I, one name soared above all others. Manfred von Richthofen, the German fighter ace the world would call the Red Baron. His legend began not in glory, but in determination. Born into Prussian nobility in 1892, Richthofen was raised with discipline, loyalty, and a taste for competition. He excelled at hunting and hope, yet it was the new and dangerous art of flying that would make his name immortal. When the Great War erupted in 1914, Richthofen served first as a cavalry officer, but modern warfare had little use for horses amid barbed wire and machine guns. Longing for adventure, he applied for a transfer to the newly formed German Air Service. In 1915, he began as an observer, studying the sky, the machines, and the men who dared to master them. Soon, he was training as a pilot, a quiet, focused man determined to become the best under the guidance of the great Oswald Boelcke, Germany's first air tactician. Richthofen learned that aerial combat was not about luck, but discipline. Volks, Dicta Boelcke, a set of rules for dogfighting, shaped Richtofen's style. Attack from above. Surprise your enemy. Keep the sun at your back. And never forget your wingman. Richthofen absorbed every word. And when Boelcke was killed in 1916, the student carried his teacher's legacy to new heights. That same year, Richthofen earned his first confirmed victory, flying an Albatross DII. He downed a British FE to be over. He didn't see himself as a killer, but as a hunter. Calm, precise, and relentless. For each victory, he ordered a silver cup engraved with the date and details of the kill. By his 11th victory, silver became scarce in wartime Germany, but the tradition continued in spirit. His record grew rapidly, and so did his reputation. It was in early 1917 that Richthofen chose his defining symbol, a bright red Albatross, DIII. Some said he painted it for intimidation, others for recognition among his squadron. Whatever the reason, it worked. The Allied pilots began calling him the Red Baron, a name both feared and respected. Across the Western Front, to the German public, he was a national hero. To the Allies, he was a deadly challenge in the sky. By April 1917, a month known to the British as Bloody April, Richthofen had achieved more than 20 aerial victories, leading Jasta 11. His elite fighter squadron, he and his men dominated the skies over Arras. They flew in tight formations, coordinated attacks, and struck with ruthless precision. Allied reconnaissance and bombing missions were torn apart by the Red Baron and his crimson-winged hunters. But Richtofen's fame did not make him reckless. Unlike many aces, he avoided unnecessary risk. A man should not risk his life without a reason, he once wrote. Courage is of little value unless it is guided by intelligence. Yet every time he climbed into his cockpit, he knew death could be waiting just beyond the clouds. Among his most notable opponents were legendary Allied aces such as Albert Ball, James McCudden, and Albert Ball. The British hero with 44 victories was the first to pose a real threat to Richthofen's reign. Their encounters were fierce, their skills unmatched, but fate intervened when Ball was killed in a crash in May 1917, not by enemy fire, but by poor weather and low visibility. Still, the rivalry between these two men defined the first half 1917's air war. As the months passed, Richtofen's leadership expanded. He commanded Jagdgeschwader 1, famously known as the Flying Circus. The name came from there. Colorful aircraft in there, mobility moving from one airfield to another like a traveling show. Under his leadership, the unit became the deadliest aerial force of the war, feared by all Allied pilots who dared to cross into their hunting grounds. Yet the constant strain of combat began to take its toll. In July 1917, during a battle with British aircraft, Richthofen was struck in the head by a bullet. Miraculously, he survived but suffered severe concussion and partial blindness for weeks. Doctors advised him to rest, but his obsession with duty and honor brought him back to the cockpit far too soon. Those who saw him afterward noted a change, quiet, more distant, haunted by the weight of survival. By the spring of 1918, the Red Baron had achieved 80 confirmed victories, making him the top ace of World War I, but his dominance was nearing its end. On April 21st, 1918, while pursuing a Canadian pilot, Wilfred May, over the Somme River, Richthofen broke one of Boelcke's golden rules. He followed the enemy too deep into Allied territory. As he descended low over the trenches, an Australian gunner on the ground fired a single shot that struck him through the chest. His Red Falcon Dr.I triplane glided to a silent stop in a field near Fort. The Red Baron was dead at only 25 years old. His enemies buried him with full military honors. Allied airmen lined his grave, saluting the man they had fought so fiercely. Even in death, he commanded respect, a true warrior of the sky. Manfred von Richthofen's legacy endures as more than just a record of victories. He defined the spirit of aerial combat discipline, courage, and mastery of one's craft. To this day, fighter pilots around the world study his tactics and respect his code. He proved that even in the chaos of war, there could be honor in the sky. The Red Baron's crimson wings no longer cut through the clouds, but his shadow still lingers there, a reminder of the moments when air combat became legend and the young Prussian pilot became immortal. The Red Baron's legend ended in fire and silence, but his legacy ruled the skies. As his crimson wings fell, the war above the trenches only grew more brutal. Hundreds of pilots would soon clash in the deadliest air duels of the Great War. Us in the next episode, the Battle of the Somme Skies, WWI's fiercest air clashes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.